Well, little did I know that when the chamber office was in the old Panhandle building, that Paul Graves was going to be one of the tenants in that building. And so Paul and I got to know each other. And I love him even more than I did just from his newspaper article. And so I asked him to tell me a little bit about himself, because I just couldn't possibly know everything that he has done. So, Paul wrote, "Little did I know when our family moved to Sandpoint 25 years ago, where I became the pastor of Sandpoint United Methodist Church, that we would later choose to leave parish ministry and make Sandpoint the most special lifelong home we could have chosen. In recent years, I have told folks that only the United Methodist Board of Pensions thinks I'm retired. I am simply refocused. My life and ministry have taken on a refocused substance and style beyond my 27 years in parish work. Since 1996, I have written a faith and values column for the Spokesman Review. Since 2009, I also write 2 age-related columns, Dear Geezer, for the Bonner County Daily Bee, plus a monthly column, Nurturing Elders, for our United Methodist Conference newsletter. Since spring 2006, I have helped develop the Bonner County Circles Initiative, a relationship-based strategy for getting people out of poverty. For the last 6.5 years, we have held weekly dinner meetings with people in poverty with the intent of developing their inner and community resources so they can become more economically, socially, and emotionally self-sufficient. Additionally, we try to reach out to community groups to advocate for changes that will eventually eliminate the complex barriers to keep people in poverty. Since January 2012, I have hosted the bi-weekly Geezer Forum, opportunities to explore and discuss aging issues. This past Tuesday, we looked at ways to challenge the stereotypes of older women. Oh, I should have been there. It's the older men's turn in August. Oh, okay. All right. In the last year, I've also been nourished by working with groups of folks to develop community conversations that encourage participants to deal in healthy ways with end-of-life issues. I was one of the founders of the Bonner County Human Rights Task Force and have been a volunteer chaplain for Bonner County Community Hospice for 22 years and served as city councilman and mayor of Sandpoint. He's also part of a multidisciplinary team focused on elder abuse and domestic violence. They're developing a series of short educational videos to help, in particular, law enforcement, social services, and healthcare to identify these problems. Service in the community has always been part of who I am, from my teen years until now. I count it a high privilege to be in community with other persons. We have so much to learn from each other and to honor each other with our caring for one another. Without further ado, my wonderful friend, Paul Graves.
I'm accustomed to speaking in a lot of different venues, but not quite like this. Thank you very much to the Chamber Board, whoever said that it was my turn. I'm standing in a room of highly motivated volunteers, and I count that as a high privilege as well. I have found through my professional work as a pastor and a social worker, and for all those many years, that some years ago I began to say that I'm paid for being good. Now I can, since leaving or refocusing myself, I need to say that I'm good for nothing, which is the badge of honor for every volunteer. We take our passions wherever they might be, and try to do something about those through those passions to make a difference in other people's lives. It's a high calling, and I'm privileged to be a part of the group that calls themselves volunteers. So many of you are volunteers. It seems like you're into everything, and I used to call that kind of a person. I've had a number of friends like that, professional volunteers. I don't. It's not professional in the sense that we're being paid, but So I've stopped calling them professionals, and I've begun to call people amateur volunteers. Not because you're not being paid, but because amateur comes from a French word that means for the love of. We're doing things for the love of working with other people. Like I said, it's a high calling, and I thank you very much.